everyone, welcome to our first Maths Home Learning video for this week, the 18th of May. So this week we're going to be having a look at area. So last week we looked at perimeter, the distance around the outside of a shape. This week we're going to be looking at area. So we've looked at area before. Area is the amount of space inside a flat shape. Now we usually look at it in squares and rectangles, or sometimes rectilinear shapes. So the amount of space inside a flat shape. So in this rectangle, the area is all of the red part. And in here, all of the red part. Last week, we looked at perimeter, the distance around the outside, so all of the distance on the black lines there. But this week, we're looking at area, the amount of space inside the flat shape. So we measure area in squares. So we use squares to measure area. Okay, so I've got three rectangles, two rectangles and a square here. And if we look, we can see how many squares are inside each shape. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 squares inside it. So it has an area of 10 squares. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares inside it. So it has an area of 5 squares. What about this square? Can you work out the area of this square? Well done, it's 4. So this square has 4 squares inside it and its area is 4. Now it's important when we're measuring area in squares that we're always using the same size squares when we compare the shapes. It wouldn't be fair if this was one huge square and then we measured our area with small squares for this one. So we need to make sure that we always use the same size squares inside when we're measuring the area of the shape. Okay, so let's get started on some questions now to find the area of different shapes. So today we're working on counting the squares to find the area. So number 1, count the squares to find the area. So have a look at each shape, A, B and C, count how many squares are inside the shape, and that will tell you the area. Okay, so pause the video while you do those ones and then check back for the answers. Okay, shape A has an area of 9 squares, shape B has an area of 10 squares, and shape C, the area is 11 squares. Which shape has the greatest area? Well, that would be shape C, because it had 11 squares. Okay, well done with those. So have a look at this one now. What is the area of the shaded part of the shape? So the part that's coloured in blue. What is the area of that? Pause if you need to while you count up the area. Okay, let's have a look. The area is 14 squares. So 14 squares were shaded in that picture, in that part of the shape. Okay, next question. Here is a kitchen tile. What area of the tile is blue? What area of the tile is white? And what's the total area of the tile? So the whole area of the tile. Pause if you need to. Okay, so the area that was blue, that was 4 squares. 4 squares were blue. Area that's white, 6 squares. So the total area will be 6 plus 4, or you might have counted it, 10 squares. Okay, so have a look at a bit of a problem now. These two shapes are made up of squares of the same size. Jack says these two shapes have the same area. Rosie says the first shape is bigger as it takes up more space. So they've had a look. This is how this shape's been laid out on the table. This one's been put like this. Rosie says this first shape's bigger because it takes up more space. But Jack says they both have the same area. Who's right? How do you know? Pause the video while you think about that one. Okay, let's have a look. Jack was right. Both shapes have an area of 9 squares. The first shape's just more spaced out, but it's actually still 9 squares. You count them, look, both have an area of 9 squares. It's just that that first shape's been spaced out, so it looks as if it's a little bit bigger. It looks like it takes up more space, but that's not true. The area is still 9. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Here is a rectangle. The rectangle has 3 rows and 4 columns. So rows, remember, go this way, cross, and columns go this way, down. 3. Oh, I've got that wrong. I should say there are 3 rows and 4 columns. I have got it right. What is the area of the rectangle? Okay, so you could count the squares. Could you use that information about 3 rows and 4 columns to help you work out that area? Okay, so the area is 12, but how did you work it out? Well, you might have counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But you could have done this. Well, I know that's 3. So 3, add 3, add 3, add 3. 3, 6, 9, 12. Or you might have gone 4, add 4, add 4. 4, 8, 12. Or you might have actually realised that 4 3 times is 12 and 3 4 times is 12. There are quicker ways to work it out rather than counting each square. Okay, so now it's your turn to find the area of each rectangle. Now you could count the squares, or you might find a quicker strategy using the number of rows and columns. We'll pause the video while you work out the area of each shape. Okay, let's have a look. Shape A, 7 squares. Shape B, 10 squares, but if you look, 2 across, 5 down, 2 times 5, 10. And shape C had an area of 24 squares. 4 down, 6 across, 4 times 6 is 24. Well done with those ones. Nija and Eva are making shapes. They each use 6 squares. So this is what we were talking about before. The area of Nija's shape is equal to the area of Eva's shape. And that's false. Because if you look carefully, Eva's used much bigger squares than Nija. So Eva's shape is actually much bigger. So depending what size squares you use, you might find out that the area is not the same. Okay? So be careful when you're using your squares to use the same size squares. Okay, so that's all for counting squares in our area work. Check back for video 2 where we'll do a little bit more work on area. Okay, bye for now.